What's up everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to help you figure out which social media platform is best for your personal brand and for your business. Not only this, I'm going to walk through the top social media platforms and tell you the pros and cons of each. So if you're interested in learning, then keep on watching. Now before I begin, the last thing that I want you to have is shiny object syndrome. I'm going to be walking through a lot of social media platforms and I don't want you to feel overwhelmed or feel the need that you need to be on every single one. So keep in mind that every time I explain a social platform, really ask yourself, would my audience like this? Is my audience actually on this platform? For instance, if your audience is makeup junkies that love to watch tutorials about makeup, then maybe podcasting isn't for you. And maybe you should stick to Instagram or YouTube. So really keep in mind your target audience every time you're considering choosing a new social media platform. Now, a common question that I always get, aside from which social media platform should I be on, is how many social media platforms should I be on? My rule of thumb is always to have 2 to 3 platforms so that you're diversified, but you're also not stretching yourself too thin. And in a moment, I'm going to explain to you each platform so that you know which 2 to 3 ones you should be on. Now, when talking about social media, for me personally, the first platform that comes to mind is Instagram. I personally believe that Instagram is a non-negotiable and every single person who has a business should really be on Instagram, not only because there's a lot of active users on that platform, but also it is the best platform to build a strong personal brand. And what I mean by this is Instagram is kind of like the new unprofessional resume. In just one glance alone of looking at your profile, someone should be able to understand what you do, who you are, what you like, what your aesthetic is, what's your style, and it's a really great way to kind of showcase who you are as a human being on the internet. Not only this, Instagram is a really great way to build relationships, and I know a lot of you guys think that Instagram is super competitive, the feed is absolutely cluttered, and we all hate the algorithm. However, with Instagram, a lot of people neglect the power of Instagram stories and Instagram DM. Even for me, when I post on my feed, it's really for me to kind of build my feed aesthetic, build my portfolio, and show my style as a content creator. Everything is curated whenever I post on my feed. However, I spend majority of my time on Instagram stories so that people can actually get to know me as a person. Not only this, I spend massive amounts of time in my Instagram DM because this is the place where relationships are being built. Especially if you are a service-based business, you can actually get clients through Instagram. A lot of my clients have actually come through Instagram because I've cultivated strong relationships with them one-on-one. So definitely, if you are a content creator, if you are a business and you want to grow a strong tribe, you are definitely sleeping on the DM function and the IG story function because that's where you actually build strong relationships, and especially if you have a business, that's also when you can generate sales. However, here is the caveat. The caveat is that on Instagram, I personally believe that you are competing for cheap attention. What that means is that on Instagram, the people who are on there are usually mindlessly scrolling or mindlessly passing by the stories. Therefore, as a content creator, as a business owner, it's going to be really hard for you to generate trust just through Instagram alone. That's why to all of my clients, I always recommend that yes, you need to be on Instagram. However, you also need a video or audio platform to support you. Which leads me to talk about YouTube versus podcast. Now, this was a huge debate that I had when I was first starting out as a content creator and choosing which platforms I wanted to be on aside from Instagram. I really wanted to be on YouTube, but I also wanted to be on podcasts. As you can see, I ended up choosing YouTube, and in a second, I'm going to tell you exactly why. Now, as you guys all know, I have my own coaching business. And when I was choosing which platform to be on, I realized that with YouTube, because it is video and audio combined, my potential customers or my potential clients can really get to know me really well. For instance, on YouTube, people can see your mannerisms, they can see how you talk, they can see how you act, they can see your face. And for me, I personally believe that YouTube is a really great way to turn cold leads into very warm ones. For instance, even for me, when I'm hopping on a discovery call with a potential client, most of the time that client already knows that they want to work with me because they've watched my YouTube videos and they know exactly what I'm about. Not only this, the traffic that comes from YouTube is unparalleled, but not only is it really great traffic volume, it's also targeted traffic. What I mean by this is that YouTube is basically like a search engine. Unlike Instagram, people are probably just searching for hashtags or certain usernames. They're not really searching for their problems. Whereas on YouTube, people are physically typing in how to grow on social media, how to quit my 9 to 5. And that's how they stumble on my videos. That is targeted traffic, because I know that if you're watching this video and you've gotten up to this point, you're probably interested in social media, which means that you'd probably be interested in my services. That is why YouTube is absolutely amazing, because that search engine function alone is helping you filter out your ideal clients. Last but not least, in terms of the pros of having a YouTube channel, is the analytics. The analytics on YouTube is better than Instagram. It's better than any other platform that I've been on. You're really able to understand your audience super well. Do my videos suck? Okay, let me check. All right, someone dropped off at the 1 minute mark. I wonder why. Okay, wait, where is this audience coming from? Are they coming from my Instagram account, my Facebook account? Also, you can even know what they exactly typed into the search engine to find you, which is gonna help you a lot with content creation and also developing your products and your services. So for me, there's so much data on YouTube that I can leverage as a content creator and as a business owner. And that is why YouTube has just done so much for my business and has really helped me grow as a content creator myself. Now, at this point, you might be wondering, okay, great, Vanessa, what's the catch? And the catch is that YouTube takes a lot of fucking work. It is probably one of the most time-consuming platforms to be on, because you've got to film videos, you've got to edit videos, you've got to engage, you've got to think of content, and it's this whole production. Especially if you want to take YouTube super seriously and you really want to grow with the platform, you got to step it up in terms of your content. You got to be consistent, and you got to really engage with your audience all the time. So yes, there's a lot of rewards when it comes to YouTube, and I personally believe that my business was built on YouTube. However, it does take a lot of sweat equity. And last but not least, another reason why YouTube may not be the best platform compared to podcasting, and again, we're going to get into podcasting in just a bit, is the fact that some people that go to your videos may not be the most loyal. A lot of people go on YouTube to find their solution and then they bounce. That's why it's really important that you are able to build relationships and that you're on multiple platforms so that people can get to know you better. For instance, when people go onto my YouTube channel and they watch a video, yes, they might click out right after, but if they're actually interested, they might binge on my videos, and they also might go to my Instagram account. And once they go to my Instagram account, that's when I really cultivate that relationship with them. Now, speaking of loyalty, this brings me to podcasting. Now, podcasting has a lot of benefits. Number one being loyalty. If someone can actually spend 30 minutes listening to your episodes, they are pretty freaking loyal to you. And because of this loyalty, it's a lot easier to convert these listeners into actual buyers and clients. And the best part about podcast episodes is that you have so much flexibility in terms of the ads that you put inside. For example, on YouTube, if I just created my own ad right now and just popped it on, you guys would probably bounce right away and click out of the video. However, in podcasting, it's absolutely normal if podcast hosts have their own advertisements in between the clips of that episode. They'll be plugging their own services, they'll be sponsored by their affiliate links, so on and so forth. So it's a really great way to actually create sales from the people that are super hot leads and that are super loyal to you. Aside from this crazy loyalty and engagement from podcast listeners, one of the main benefits of having a podcast is how easy it is to get started. For instance, unlike YouTube, where I have to hop in front of a camera, I have to put makeup on, and I have to make sure my mic is good, and I have this whole script. On podcasts, you could literally wake up in the middle of the night feeling inspired and record an episode. It is just that easy. That's why if you don't have a lot of time, but you still want to create content and build a relationship with your audience, podcasting is definitely the way to go. However, even though your listeners on podcast is probably more loyal than your subscribers on YouTube, the problem with podcasts is that the functionality of search is not as good as YouTube, and therefore it's going to be harder to be found. Like I said earlier, on YouTube, it's like a search engine and people are typing in their problems. However, you're probably not typing in your problems on podcast. You're most likely kind of looking for certain subjects or categories to listen to. That's why, as a content creator on podcasting, it's going to be a little bit more challenging to actually have a lot of traffic initially to your podcast show. Not only this, even though I personally don't have a podcast, a lot of my friends do, and they've told me as well that the analytics on podcasts is just not very good, meaning that you're going to have very little visibility of who your audience actually is, whether they like the episode, what their thoughts are. So if you really think about it, let's say you look at Instagram and YouTube, people can leave their comments, people can DM you, whereas on podcasts, people can just leave a review and that's it. That's why, again, it's really important to be on multiple platforms so that your audience can stay connected with you and for you to continuously build those relationships outside of your main platform. Now, this leads me to the fourth platform that I want to talk about, and that is Facebook. Now, personally, before I started my business, I thought that Facebook was dead. However, if you are a content creator or a business owner, Facebook groups is absolutely killer if you want to stay in touch and build really strong relationships with your audience. For example, you know how I said on podcasts, since you don't have analytics and you don't really have the functions to understand who your listeners are, if you actually invited all of your listeners to join you in your Facebook group, you're going to then have way more visibility in terms of who is in your audience and who is in your tribe. Even for me with my YouTube channel, I have my own Facebook group called the Fearless Boss Network, where I have over 5,000 people inside. Many of these people have been watching my videos or have been following me on Instagram. And in that community alone, I'm able to really foster that community, really help them, and also be able to gain even more trust with them as a content creator and as a coach and business owner. So trust me when I say this, Facebook is not dead. My Facebook group is so active and super lit, and if you are a content creator or a business owner, you are totally missing out if you are not creating your own Facebook group to house your audience. Now, at this point in the video, I've talked a lot about the big four: Instagram, YouTube, podcasting, and Facebook. These are the ones that everyone is talking about. However, the one platform that is not talked about enough is LinkedIn. Now, personally, I follow my rule of thumb of not being on too many platforms. I'm only on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. However, I have heard many success stories of people that are on LinkedIn. More and more, LinkedIn is really developing to be a true social networking platform. However, the beauty about LinkedIn is that their algorithm is not as stingy as Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. If you really think about it, even on LinkedIn, just updating your status is going to generate a lot of attention because every single person is going to get a notification within your network. LinkedIn is a really great place to publish content, whether it's blog posting or video, and because the algorithm is so loose, so many people actually see it on their feed. Not only do you get way better reach and engagement on LinkedIn, but you also have a more sophisticated type of audience on there as well. And what I mean by having a more sophisticated audience is that generally on LinkedIn, you probably won't see teenagers or elementary schoolers hanging around there. The people who are active on LinkedIn are generally in college, university, or they are busy professionals. Meaning that if you are a service provider or even if you sell products online, LinkedIn is a great platform to attract ideal customers and clients. And what I mean by that is that most people who are active on LinkedIn are generally busy professionals, and therefore they have more propensity to spend. They have a higher purchasing power, which means that they are more likely to convert into clients and customers to your business. However, before you get shiny object syndrome and hop onto LinkedIn, again, like I said earlier in the video, you really need to ask, is my ideal audience actually going to be there? Because the one caveat with LinkedIn is that currently it only really tailors to certain niches that are in the education sector, technology, or business. If you are in the beauty niche or the food niche, then maybe LinkedIn might not be the best platform for you at this moment in time. Now, of all the 5 platforms that we talked about, make sure that you also watch this video right here to understand how you can grow your online presence and build a very strong personal brand. I think at the end of the day, regardless of which platforms you choose, make sure that it's aligned with who you are and what you want to portray out into the internet, and whether or not your ideal audience is actually going to be living in those platforms. Once you're done watching that video, watch this one so that you can learn how to level up your business, your social media, and your life in general. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it and that you were able to narrow down which platform is perfect for you. I hope you guys have a great day, a great week, and a great life, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.